Well, I guess all of us have some level of election anxiety. With us is Karen Howard. She's the CEO and Executive Director of Organic and Natural Health Association and also a former congressional staff committee member. Karen, welcome to Nightside. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
When were you working in Congress, and who were you working for? Obviously, if you're in the congressional staff.
I go back to the Reagan days. Actually, I have to admit. I mean, I was working for a congressman who was the ranking on Rules Committee, and Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill, the good old days. I can actually say now.
I interviewed Ronald Reagan many times, and Tip O'Neill's very close friend of his family. Which staff member? It's only curiosity.
I worked on the Post Office and Civil Service Committee, no longer in existence, because Congress had managed to cover themselves both by the federal employee retirement system and the old Congressional Services retirement system. Somebody had to fix it so they didn't pay double.
Okay, well that's good to know. But you weren't assigned. You were placed there. Generally, staff people are placed there by a member of Congress. Didn't know
Congressman
if
Gene Taylor of Southwest Missouri.
Yeah, I remember his name. I didn't know him, but I do remember his name. So we're talking about election anxiety. Hey, I think everybody's feeling it these days. What, if anything?
Couldn't have come out at a better time. Yes.
Yeah. What if anything can be done to relieve that anxiety, other than not listening to talk radio, which is a bad thing if you don't listen, or watching cable news?
And I don't recommend that, because if you just cut yourself off from the world,
right,
what is that doing for all of us, right?
Well, I was asking that question a little tongue in cheek
I know.
Okay. So what can people do?
We all live in this world. Yeah. So here, one of the things I want to remind people is that I have 10 practices in here. There are a lot of tools, but one of the things that I think people need to be aware of is that all of this really resonates in our body. We feel this when this happens. We've been all watching the news for the last 2 days, and you feel it in your heart, and you feel it in your chest, and your muscles tighten up, because words are really like drugs. And we need to be really cognizant of that, because they create a reaction in our body. So, when I have a favorite word like moron, I use that a lot.
Yeah, I use the word knucklehead. I'm told that moron is no longer politically acceptable, so I use
it is
knucklehead.
not. Exactly. So, and being politically correct is important, and even taking that one step further, which is making words that don't create such a physical response in your body. I mean, I even say, like, character. What a character, right?
Yeah,
it just changes the tone and tenor of the thought.
Yeah, that's a euphemism, right? I like that.
but even words like but and should are like, they don't get you anywhere. Yeah. But, should, don't be a weenie. Pick, choose.
Yeah. I hear you on that for sure. Look, in the article that accompanied the pitch, which I've read out of Public Health Post, it was interesting. They broke down the various generations: Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, Boomers, of which I am one, and the silent generation basically means anyone who's over the age of 80, I guess. And the happiest in the group were the younger groups. Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X were the happiest. Boomers and the silent were the least happy. What's going on with that?
Life lived, perhaps, is a solution to that question. I will say, though, I think in terms of how we can look at the generational aspect of this, and I think it's really important, is that we are only in one generation, right, at this point in time. But in my philosophy, the thing I believe in most about how I do my work and where I work and what I do is that I really believe in 7 generations. So my goal is to acknowledge the 3 generations that came before me, and to serve the 3 generations that are ahead of me, and be present in the one that I'm in. Yep. And that really shifts how I look at everything that I do. And it has changed. When I'm at a place where I'm working for a water bottling company and I'm only there to make money, I'm out in 12 months. With organic and natural health and what we're doing to change healthcare paradigms, hardest work on the planet, especially now, I continue to do it because I believe in my mission to serve those 7 generations. And organic and natural health is really working hard to create new ways to do politics, because it's the only game in town. That's never going to change.
So You are the CEO and Executive Director of Organic and Natural Health Association.
Mm-hmm.
Do you represent a group of these companies, or is that one company?
A group of companies that are all committed to the
Perfect.
nutritional health space, but also includes retailers, consumer organizations, so it's not just corporations.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I'm assuming that you feel that organic and natural health foods will reduce all sorts of anxiety. I assume that's the connection between election anxiety relief and organic and natural health foods. Or am I making a big assumption here?
Well, I don't. I mean, I think that when you feel better, and it's because you eat better, and then you have less stress in your life. Absolutely. Is that part of the mission of ONN? Not per se. But when we have to deal in an environment where we're all dealing in an environment where politics is more of a problem than it is a help, at least that's the way it's perceived, and yet it's the only way we can make change in healthcare policy, we can't just walk away. We can't just throw up our hands, and we also can't do business as usual because that's not working either.
Here's what I tell friends of mine to relieve their election anxiety. There will be about 175 million Americans who will vote this November, and my vote and your vote individually mean nothing. Our vote will never swing a state, will never swing an electoral. So it's important, but it's not as important as the life that we each try to live on our own. I hope that helps.
I think I've had this conversation just today, and I often feel that same way. And I realize that if that is the way we tread through life, then we are just opening up the opportunity for our democracy to be continually weakened. So we actually, and I live in a place where everybody votes the same way, and it doesn't have any representation that could vote. And yet my vote, I cannot sacrifice my obligation to have that vote, right?
Oh no, I think people should vote, but they should realize that it's a big country, and that's all the point I was trying to make. Hey, Karen, I hate to do this to you, but I'm up on a news break, and I got to let you go.
It's been a pleasure.
How can folks get more information? You have a website, I'm sure.
I do. UpsetIsOptional.com is where people can learn more about the book, and organicandnatural.org is about our association.
Sounds great. Karen, thank you so much for your time. Love to have you back and have a longer conversation.